Hey guys, today we'll be giving our take on being first generation African Americans.
Yeah, so we're gonna give you guys a little bit of information on our background, starting with me, Nangah. So I was born in a country in Central Africa called Cameroon, and I moved to the United States when I was about 2 or 3 years old and got my citizenship. So technically, I am an immigrant, but I have my U.S. citizenship. So I am African American.
Yeah. I was actually born in the United States, but both of my parents are from Nigeria. They're both born and raised there. Uh, if you're wondering what tribe, Yoruba tribe, and
Ew. Nigerians always talking about tribes. I hate it.
anyway, so they both came over here. They got married and they came over here, and then they had me and my siblings, and we were all born and raised in the United States.
Yep.
Yep. So that's pretty much it for our backgrounds, if you guys are wondering. And
Yeah. Yep.
we're gonna talk about what it's like growing up as a first generation African American.
Can I just start? If you're growing up here and you're African, you already know this, but your parents always want you to be either a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. I don't know why. I don't know where they got this idea from, but it's mad annoying.
Even the engineer part is recent. Like
The
before, it was
engineer,
always like doctor or lawyer, but then they saw engineers for making some some
some
coin.
money.
So they're like, okay, we can have some
Yeah,
diversity
you can add
into
that
this,
in there. You know.
right?
Whatever makes you money, you can add that. I'm like,
Right,
oh,
because they're like, oh, I came to America, this land with so many opportunities, and so you guys can be great, and when I'm old, you guys will take care of me. That's
I'm
that's,
like,
that's expectation.
I'll take care of you, but why do I have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer to take care of you? Like, chill
Exactly.
out.
Like I don't want to be either of those things. So there's
Chill
there's always
out.
this kind of pressure to be great, and I feel like any child of immigrants or
Yeah.
immigrant can relate to this, especially
Also, with that, with the being great thing, I feel like any child of immigrant can relate to the fact that your immigrant parents do not know what mental health is.
oh yeah,
They do not know what it means to be depressed. If I go tell my mother I'm depressed, she'd be like, "What do you mean you're depressed? What do you
right.
have to be depressed about?" I'm like, okay, well,
I
you
feel
know,
like that especially is because it's kind of stigmatized in African countries.
hmm
Like it's just like um it's kind of they kind of think it's like you have it better in America,
yeah,
which you do. It's in some
you
aspects
do
it's
in
much
some
better.
situations. You do in some situations. Still, though, their mental health takes a toll on a lot of kids in our generation. As you know, our generation is probably like the most suicidal generation that people have seen thus far. But I would just like bring up another thing that I hated is when it would be the first day of school and I'm ready for the first day of school, got my outfit on, go to my first period class, and this goes for all my period classes. Usually because of my last name, I am the first person on the roster,
Mm-hmm.
which means that my name gets called first, which means that everyone gets to laugh at the teacher mispronouncing my quote unquote um, ethnic name. It is an ethnic name, but exotic name, whatever people call it these days. And I just sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's literally two syllables in it. Like
Nanga.
like non and ga, like two syllables. Like how can you say frappuccino and macchiato and you can't say
You can
non?
say Machiavelli, but not Nanga. Like
I hate it. It's so annoying.
for me, like I go by Ini because that's usually easier for people to pronounce and it's shorter. But my full first name is Ini Olua. Ini Olua.
Ew. It's not that hard to say.
So it's like right. It's only like Iniolua. It's okay. It's 5 syllables. Iniolua. Yeah, it's 5 syllables. But once you
They're
hear it, it's
easy.
really not that hard. And you know when you're in the first day of school, maybe not even the first day. It will last up maybe like a month while you're in classes, right? And especially my last name starts with an A, so it's usually at the top of the roster. So you just know you're about to come first, and then she's just gonna butcher your name. And
Butcher.
right before they get to your name, they're like, "I'm sorry, guys. I'm not that great at
I'm
pronouncing
not good at names.
I'm not good at names." So they're like, "I'm sorry for mispronouncing his name. Please don't take offense, right?" So I'm just waiting for them to come out with it, and they come out saying, "You know what do that?" I'm like, "Did he even pronounce a single vowel, a single consonant in that name?" Like,
For me, it's just like, did you look at my name and just not spell it out? Like, we taught you this thing in kindergarten.
Right. Sound out like the
Not in God.
symbols. Come on, make it make sense. But it was like, and then they'll struggle saying it, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's me."
Yeah, and then like even the thing where you changing your name to like, well, not changing your name, but like shortening your name to Ini, like we can even get into like the Americanizing yourself so other people are just like chill with you. Yeah.
And it was like, when after they try to pronounce my name, I'd be like, "You know what? Just call me Ini." They're like, "Oh no, I want to know how to pronounce your full name." And then it's just frustrating because they probably won't get it right for a month. So it's just like,
Right.
okay.
So funny story. When I came here, my name was Nangah. That's still my name, like the my name is still Nangah, guys. Don't worry, I didn't change it. But people would have such a hard time saying my name that my uncle gave me the name Chelsea. So Americans said Chelsea. Yeah, and I'm just here like, okay, so I've grown up hearing Chelsea, but now that I look back at it, I'm just like, why the heck did you guys do that to me? Like, because throughout that with that name, I thought, my name was just not a good name. And I thought having a more Americanized name was like better. But I actually like my name because it's unique and you don't see a lot of Nangahs around, So, yeah.
Like I won't even say my name is unique because there's way too many Nigerians over here. So I'd be seeing people with my name, like, okay. But I feel like my name, like, it has a nice meaning. Like in Yoruba, it means, it's like from a Bible verse or whatever, but it means children are the heritage of God. So basically,
I feel like every African name has God in it. Something about God.
Yeah, it's always kind of like religious.
But I don't know about mine though. I think mine is like a river.
But it's really nice how especially you see African Americans will put thought or meaning into these names. So I kind of like, I've learned to kind of carry it with pride. So it's nice. Yeah. Another thing with growing up African was like, I don't know if Nangah has experienced this, but for me specifically, because I was born here and my parents are African, there was kind of this thing. I was like, oh, I was being too American for my African relatives, or I was being too African for American friends, because it was like because I don't know how to speak my mother tongue. So it's like they would speak to me and then I'll be like, what did you just say? And they're like, this American girl, And then because I kind of grew up, African community, because I go to African church, this and that. When I'm around like American friends, like I do some like little African joke, whatever, they're like, huh? And I was like, oh, this was not the time or place. So there's kind of always that thing, but for me, it's not something that's too big a concern for me, because I'm proud of my African heritage, and being American is pretty nice. So
yeah, I think I can say that I kind of have the same thing. Coming here, I did not know how to speak English. Like, French is kind of my mother tongue, but at the same time, I am like a country girl. So I do have another like mother tongue that I don't know called Akum, but I couldn't speak that. So every time like people try to speak Akum to me, I'm just like, I don't know what you're saying, and they're like, these American kids. I'm just like, sir.
Yeah.
But and then with my American friends, at first, like, I didn't care, because like I was just like, I'm an African girl, like, what you gonna do about it? Like, this is just who I am. I would just bring my fufu and gari to school, and I'd be like, my things, and I would just mind my business. And my American friends were like, oh my gosh, you're so African. I'm like, well, yeah, I am African.
Yeah.
So yeah, and people like, when these days people will be like, where are you from? I'm just like, I'm African. But the thing is, like, we were talking about this earlier, right? Like, I don't know why people have to ask me where I'm from. Like,
Right.
I
Like,
live here.
we are in America, like one of the most racially, ethnically diverse countries in the world. And it's like, I don't know, it's like when you see me, like I was born and raised in America. So it's like when you see me, what about me screams foreigner? It's
Like, yeah, I'm not like the Pop Smoke song. Like, like, that was
like
such a bad joke, but whatever. But it's just like, first of all, why is it your business?
right.
And
And
second
it's
of
like,
all, why are you assuming that I am not from, like, even though I'm not, like, I am, but I'm not, why are you assuming,
right, yeah. And like, for example, like one time I went to like a gas station, and this is back when I was like in middle school. And like I was just walking up to the gas station, and I was in my school uniform, like just, a regular black girl walking up to go pay for the gas. And the guy at the register asked me, he's like, "Oh, where are you from?" And in my head, like I get this question so many times. It's like, I just know immediately what to respond. I respond, it's like, "Oh, I was born here, but my parents are from Nigeria."
Mm,
It really made me think. It was like, why don't people just assume that I was born here? Like, there's
yeah,
African Americans in America. Like, do you ask them where they're from? Like, America. Like, I don't know why. Like, you see, I don't
yeah,
know. People who aren't first generation African American also go through this, but it's like there are black people in America too.
mm,
So like, I don't know, like why that question's asked to me. But
right, yeah.
talk about
Well, there
the
was a there was a comment asking us to speak about people trying African food, specifically fufu, on
yeah,
the TikTok.
yeah, TikTok.
So Edie, do you wanna share your
Okay.
thoughts?
So as you have seen on TikTok, there's people who want to dive into the wonderful world of African cuisine. And so they had decided to start with fufu. And if you don't know, fufu is kind of like a starchy dough that can be made from pretty much almost anything, because thousands of different types of fufu. You can make it from yams, you can make it from potatoes, you can make it from cassava, like almost anything, and then they pair it up with stew. So the thing that kind of like unsettled, especially like people in the African community, was that people were trying fufu, and it was like before it even touched their tongues, they were spitting it out. And it's like, okay, people can have different tastes in food. Maybe the African palate is different from the American palate. Like, what food you find tasty or whatever. But it's like they were being so like, and it's like it's such a cult,
Disrespectful.
right? It's such a cultural staple in African
Mhm.
culture. Like fufu is like a staple meal. So it's like, I don't know. It's like kind of offensive when you see people just like scraping your cultural food like off their tongue when they barely even tasted it. And it's like, dang, like at least if you don't like it, that's fine. But you didn't need to be dramatic about it. So that was a kind of thing that happened, and it was like, for me, I understand if you don't like it, but um, I feel like you should just, I don't know, be a little,
Respect the culture.
yeah, and be
Yeah.
open-minded. Like, um, I don't know, if you were trying some traditionally Russian food and you're eating in front of a Russian person, are you gonna scrape it off your tongue and spit it out? Like, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
kind of rude. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Like when I saw it, I was just like, that's like, I have no problem. Like people think that Africans are gatekeeping food. Like you know, the problem is that you're being disrespectful to something that people eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Um, like I know that people don't have the same taste, obviously, but you can respectively say that you don't like something. Like when you go to a restaurant, I don't see people spitting the restaurant food out so disrespectfully like that. Um, Personally, like when I'm trying like other cuisines like Thai food or Korean food or whatever, if I don't like something, I'll be like, okay, that was a nice experience, but I realized or I found out from this experience that I don't like this, but maybe I like other types of like Thai food or other types of Japanese food, which I end up do liking. So I feel like if people were just a little bit more respectful, then like this whole like, fight. And I'm gonna explain the fight real quick, which is mostly between Africans and African Americans. This whole like diaspora wouldn't really be over Fufu or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that people, I feel like if you saw some of the arguments, I think sometimes Africans are a bit sensitive because, at the end of the day, it is food, but I feel like people should also be respectful at the same
Hmm.
time. But yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of diaspora problems within the global Black community, and it's effects of colonialism and the slave trade and everything. But I feel like personally, to all the Black folk out there, that we should not let what happened, like, we should not let the white man divide us.
Oh my gosh.
We should stay strong as Black people and
Okay,
appreciate the differences in our cultures. Thank
Okay, Miss Malcolm X. All right. All right. So I hope that we touched well on that topic about the Fufu craze. That's the end for today's episode. Next week we will be talking about cultural appropriation. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, comment down below like what you want to see, and yeah, we'll see you.
you.
Bye.
And yeah, see you next week. Bye.